that I learned to walk at the age of 12 months. But I didn't let go of the handle of the baby carriage until I was nearly 3. And that was because when I walked like this, with my feet turned in, pigeon-toed. And so I figured out early on, if I didn't hold on, then I would go flying. Well, I did let go, and I continued to go flying through much of my childhood. You know, when you see a 2-year-old so happy and running down the street, and then they hit the ground, I was doing that at 8. And at 12, I broke my arm playing field hockey, and my mother taught me to roll, which really became a good skill. And at 13, I wanted to wear high heels. And she said, I don't know how that's gonna work, you know, high heels. And so for a full year, at least every day, at least once, I walked a mile with my feet out like this, duck walking. We lived out in the country, so nobody could really see me. And it helped. For the most part, I walk straight now, unless I'm tired. And then I'll start to go in. I still fall. Last year when I had my annual physical, and you know, the doctor is at the computer screen, and they're entering, and then she's going, you know, do you fall much? Oh yeah, all the time. And she turns like that, and was very upset. But I'm actually pretty good at rolling. Although I was at the LAX airport, I haven't broken anything since I was 12. But at the LAX airport, changing planes from New Orleans, it was a tight time thing, and I'm kind of hurrying. I have my computer on my back and a cloth purse, and I'm hustling. And sometimes my feet will actually hit solid ground, and then I just lose it. It took 3 people to get me and the computer back up, but I made it on the plane, and they gave me a bag of ice, and that worked. But I was dripping coffee all the way into the plane. And people kept saying, you're drinking coffee, and I'm saying, I don't have any coffee. It was a glass bottle from Starbucks in my cloth purse, so that got resolved. But I wasn't able to roll too well, but I did not break a bone. I'm all good.
So, what kind of fears might you have? Just take them on. Let's call out a few. Yeah?
I would love, not so much now, but for many years, I'd love to skydive.
Ooh, do it.
I watch people do it, and I go, how many people now are in the plane? What are they gonna do? Is somebody gonna dive with them?
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, okay, we're done. But I would love to be able to do that, you know, but I'm not going to. It gives me chills right now.
You know, I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
Talk to me in the social hour, I'll tell you about it.
It would hurt a lot if you didn't do it right.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm fearful every time I preach.
Mm.
And the fear is multi-level. I feel like it's such an important thing. I don't want to screw it up.
Right.
And I don't want to look bad.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. There's some really core things going on there. Thanks for sharing that.
Fear of speaking in public.
Fear of speaking in public. In our larger speech, I tell a story about my early attempts to play music in front of people, and the stage fright would get so bad that I would shake and shake and shake. And yeah.
Helynna?
I have a fear of walking down a slope because I once stumbled on a little pebble, rolled down a hill and spiral fractured my leg. So I have a fear of going down an escalator. I have a fear of going down anything. I have to take an elevator rather than going down an escalator.
Okay.
I just can't get over the fear.
Okay. Anyone else? Well, yeah.
One of my spiritual teachers is taking a group to Morocco, and I'm afraid to go to Morocco.
There's places in this country I'm afraid to go to right now. But we won't talk about that. Okay, so do you know that there are two innate fears that most all people are born with, and this spans a great deal of time and, believe it or not, culture. And those two fears are the fear of loud noises and the fear of falling. We're born with those two as babies. So it's not unusual. And of course, the fear of rejection, which we've talked about a little bit. That's pretty common. So
Loud noises have to be associated with something? Or just loud
I
noises?
think, when you're brand new in the world, you just have no exposure to that. So where's that coming from?
Startle reflex.
Yeah. So 10 years ago, when I was approaching 60, I had a successful video production business in the Bay Area, and we had a great home in Oakland and a happy marriage, and I was known around the Bay as a pretty good musician. However, I didn't feel that my music was expanding. I knew I was holding back on some level and not being my true self. I felt I had to be on guard all the time, hiding a huge part of who I am. Just imagine for a moment waking up in the morning, looking in the mirror, and your face and body are how you might look in every way, but as the opposite gender to yourself. There have been several funny movies over the years, such as It's a Boy-Girl Thing, in which two teens wake up in each other's bodies after visiting a museum. Imagine trying to act like you think you should act if you were the opposite gender, so that no one knew that you were really you inside. This is what I did every day since I was 5 years old. I was a little girl inside, but everyone told me I was a boy, so I tried to learn how to act like a boy. And I lived in fear that someone would find out that I wasn't a real boy. When I was 12, my Marine ex-drill instructor stepfather caught me wearing one of my sister's dresses. And I was sent to a counselor to try to straighten me out. Now, that ended after several sessions, in part because I was willful, but also because I had no language. I had no words to describe what the feeling was that was inside me. So I got better at hiding after that. When Helynna and I got married, I told her that I used to dress in women's clothing, but that I didn't do that anymore. And I believed it. Back to turning 60. I was so tired of hiding my true self and acting as expected as a male in our society, I shared my feelings with Helynna. And I was terrified that she would leave me.
I didn't really understand what she was feeling or trying to express, but I could really see the pain that she was feeling and how important this was to her. And so I was okay with her dressing around the house in women's clothing. It was a little odd the first dinner. She came down dressed to the nines to go to a theater, and I was in my house clothes, which you wouldn't go to a theater in, but that was fine. And then I still couldn't understand, but she wanted to go out in public dressed as a woman. So we found several trans women groups that had social events, and so we went there.
Now our house was at the end of a cul-de-sac in West Oakland, and in fact, you could see straight up our front door from like 3 blocks away. So we had a driveway, but no garage. So it would take us sometimes an hour to get out of the house, because at this point we hadn't told the neighbors yet. and I was afraid of being caught by the neighbors. So, put on the makeup, put on nail polish, get dressed, and then peek out the window, see if anybody was out there. Like I said, sometimes it took an hour. Going back and forth got to be harder because I also hadn't told my video clients yet, so had to put on makeup, put on nail polish, and then the next day when it was time to go to work, it was, the makeup was of course off before bed, but the nail polish had to come off before I could go to work. But as time went on, what I found was I was most comfortable as a woman, and it was getting harder and harder for me to go back and forth.
And I struggled with going out with Margo, dressed as a woman everywhere, and with our friends and with our social community. I've been a heterosexual woman married to a man for 20 years. And that's how I saw myself, and realized that people were now seeing us as two lesbians. And I have, of course, lots of friends who are gay, but was a different feeling to be perceived that way by the rest of the world. But it was also getting really difficult to go back and forth. I mean, you think it's hard to keep hormones, I do that every time it seems, pronouns straight when a new friend shares their pronouns. But when every day you have to look to see which pronoun or which name or which story to tell in your different social engagements, it was just getting really, really stressful. And in male mode, Margo is somewhat of a different person. Very reserved, rather shy. You wouldn't recognize her if you saw her now, because of the person she is now.
So this change was actually quite gradual. It took at least 5 years before we reached the point where I was full-time. First we told family, and then we told selected friends that we thought would be great. Eventually we told the neighbors because that made it easier to go in and out of the house. And I told my clients. Now they were great because now as I was self-employed. As a full-time self-employed contractor, there's no HR department. There's no one to intercede for you and say, play nice, So I bit the bullet and told them what was going on with me. And most all of the time, now I may have lost some, I don't know. Because if so, they didn't tell me if that was the problem for them. But most times what they would say is, so, we start shooting at 10, call time's 8, don't be late. So that worked out pretty well, but the hardest group to tell were my musician community. Because emotionally I had the most invested there. And I was really afraid that that wouldn't go over really well. So I used to go to the Hotel Utah in San Francisco quite a bit, and they were trans friendly. There were some other trans performers that would come every week. So I figured, well, that would be a safe place to go try out this new being. And it went pretty well, except about the second time I went, there was a friend of mine, Phil, and Phil used to love to give the performers little hints. So he kind of walked up behind me, whispered in my ear, and he said, you can dress and put on makeup, you can even take hormones and have surgery, but you'll always be a man in a dress. And that really hurt. But I had the presence of mind to turn to him and say, thank you, Phil. Thank you for confronting me with that thing that I've spent my entire life being afraid of. And we ended up remaining friends. In fact, I ended up singing at his memorial. So, you just don't know how things will go with people. Now I'm full-time as a woman, and I feel much freer. And just having that big burden of fear lifted from my shoulders, it I think has more to do with anything than anything. So, the sky did not fall. Some took it in stride. Some were curious. I may have lost a few. Most did not care. I developed more confidence. I started to live more expressively, and I believe my music improved. So I've got a song for you about all of that. Would you like to hear it?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's called True Love is the Best. I'm afraid if the wellspring stays in tune. I'm a woman, not like any other. Also was a father that I had to let go. Indecisions came lightly. I might be more sprightly. You really can't fight me. I was born this way. Love me or leave me, you know I still remain blessed. What you think about me, you know that's anyone's guess. Love is the best teacher, and truth is the test. True love is the best. I tried denial, I got pretty good. People kept asking, how come you don't act like you should? Had to discover what worked best for me. I admit one thing, it might not be your cup of tea. Love me or leave me, you know I still remain blessed. What you think about me, you know that's anyone's guess. Love is the best teacher, and truth is the test. Love is the best. We each got our own path, down which we must go. I admit that my path might be one you'll never know. My true friends, they sent me. Turns out I got quite a few. All of them others, they gonna do whatever they do. Love me or leave me, you know I still remain blessed. What you think about me, you know that's anyone's guess. Love is the best teacher, and truth is the test. True love is the best. Love is the best. Talking about true love. True love is the best.
We have to keep trying to find our fearless in all of the places that fear is holding us back from being ourselves or living the life we would like to live.
We have a quote that we've adapted from that great liberal Mr. Henry Ford.
That's at the end, Margo.
Oh, well, we'll share it with you later. It's easy to get off script.
Yeah, yeah. A very important thing is happening right now,
Oh,
the offertory,
oh, yeah.
so that we can continue to support this wonderful, wonderful church.